Now you must have noticed that a lot of successful tactics this year in FM24 have these things in them. Get stuck in, and the player instruction of tackle harder. So then, is this a necessity for us to win, or can we use stay on feet and even the opposite of tackle harder, ease off tackles? Let's find out. Right folks, we're going to have a little explore today, all about this tackling harder. Now, it's in most tactics you see that are good and work because it seems to work. Now, don't get me wrong, I get the frustration when you see every player position with tackle harder on. You're just kind of like, why? The one I draw the line at is keepers. I'm not putting tackle harder on keepers no matter how well it works. But you know, FM is a game, and to be enjoyable, a lot of people want to win. So they kind of sway towards putting tackle harder on the players. Now, I've got them on nearly every player in this formation here. With Carlisle, this was the save where we decided to get as many shots as possible. And you've got to say it works really well. Look at that. They won 35 out of 46. They only lost twice and they amassed 114 points. I mean, it's hard to argue that, isn't it? It's hard to argue. And of course, using tackle hard and get stuck on has the knock-on effect of making you top of yellow cards and top of fouls made. So you run the risk of getting red cards. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to restart that season with the same team, Carlisle United. And we're going to use this same tactic, but we're going to use the exact opposite in terms of tackling. So now I've got two tactics side by side. There's the original and there's the new one. And let's have a look at the differences. First off, on every player now we have ease off tackles rather than jumping in and tackling harder. That's every player. So we're going for the exact opposite of what made that other tactic arguably so successful. Next, we'll go to tackling on the team instruction and we'll just bang in stay on feet as well. Now, player instructions should overpower team instructions, but let's be sure. So this is a potentially extreme example, but we've taken all the tackle harder off. We've left everything else exactly the same. They blitzed the league last time. Let's see if they do this time. Season done with Carlisle. Let's see how they did. Well then, it appears, although successful, they were not quite as successful. Getting promoted, but not as champions and not amassing 100 points. It's still a good season. They did lose 9 more matches though. They scored plenty, but they conceded a lot as well. So it appears there's a definite effect here of the backing off with the tackling, toning it down. If you'll have a look at the team overview, what I'll do now is I'll load up those same metrics to see how they were. Remember, fouls made, they were top last time by a mile. As we can see, they're not even in the ballpark there. I mean, where are they? They've gone from top by a mile to bottom by a mile with only 295 fouls. We'll do the same now with yellow cards. Remember, they were top of that by a good distance as well. Not in sight. And in fact, bottom with only 21 yellow cards the entire season. Less than 1 every 2 matches. Now look, that was an extreme example. Everybody easing off tackles. Nobody's putting a tackle in basically. They're all just jockeying. Next, we'll try and make a bit of a hybrid. Before I decided which players to put on tackle harder and which to back off, I went up to the data hub and analyst report. Now, I've gone to conceding and assists for the last 45 matches. And I can see that 14 assists came from crosses. That's the most by a big mile. Right, so knowing that, I think we will back off from tackling hard out wide because maybe they're jumping in too much and leaving too many gaps. So every player out wide will stay on ease off tackles like that. But the guys in the middle, we're going to instruct them to be the ones to win the ball back and put a bit of gusto into it. So all of those guys will be on tackle harder. So the 2 centre backs and the attacking midfielder, the shadow striker, and the striker, they'll be on tackle hard, and the guys out wide will not. Okay, third go at it, season over, and it's an improvement because they do go back to winning the league. Now, a big improvement here. They've scored 110 times, only conceding 38. They did lose 8 though, so that's 6 more than the tackle harder version. Now, we are down in fouls made from the most extreme version, but way up, obviously, from the ease-off tackle version. Yellow cards were top of that, but 19 or so down from the 100. But dead interestingly, top of the red card list on this one with 5. If I go back to the data hub and have a look at the conceding for this one, we can see that we have solved the crosses one. So backing off from diving into tackles saved us from the crosses, but it opened up the option for through balls. Right, more successful than backing off everybody. So you had a bit of a mixture. We had, if you remember, all the guys out wide, they did not jump into tackles, but everybody in the middle did. So what that did was, these guys held their position a bit better, so there was less room for crosses, but there was more room for through balls because some of these guys may be getting out of position by jumping into tackles. So I think what we'll do, dude, is go for one more version, the perfect combo of guys doing tackle harder, and then guys that we're going to switch to easing off. See if we can get the perfect cocktail. Right, let's go with attempt number 45. Right then, so we've tried to be clever here and get the perfect combination. We've kept the guys out wide easing off tackles because that seemed to work and stop crosses. In the middle, I've got both centre backs easing off, so hopefully they'll just kind of hold their position. Now the guys in the middle, one of them is going to be instructed to tackle harder, go for the ball all the time. The other one, he's going to kind of hold his position more, hopefully stopping some of those through balls. Shadow striker will tackle harder, as will the striker, so they're going to attack harder in the more advanced positions, and the rest are going to hold. And as the season comes to an end, it proved dividends as we got very close to the tackle harder extreme version. You can see there we only lost 3 matches, we bagged 118 times and only conceded the 41 goals. So I went for a cocktail here of tackle harder with ease off, trying to pick the right places to do it, and it seems to have worked quite well in this one. Fouls made, they're still up there, but they're down in 4th. Same with yellow cards, that's probably the lowest we've had other than the ease off tackle version, and red cards were not even in the ballpark. So if you look at the difference, this is the last one we use, so we've got ease off tackles out wide, and then we've got these ease off tackles in the middle and one guy doing it in the middle, whereas the most successful version, I won't lie to you, is the one where everybody is on tackle harder. Other than the shadow striker, for some reason, but everybody else is on tackle harder. And that was the most successful one. But the closest we got to it was when we got a bit more thoughtful. And in fact, we've only got 3 guys here on tackle harder. So if you're a guy who hates seeing tackle harder, there's a way to do it. Pick and choose who to do it with. Now you'll notice I did keep get stuck in on. There is a theory that play instructions do trump team instructions, but for the sake of this, I'll do one more run with this last tactic without that. So how did it do by deselecting get stuck in? Well, turns out it's the worst performance yet. Still got promoted, but least amount of points. They are nowhere in the fouls made table or the yellow cards table or the red cards table. In fact, for fouls made, they're all the way down in 20th. And remember, all we did really was we've got a couple of players on tackle harder, the guys down the middle, guys out wide on ease off. Team instruction, nothing. So yeah, in summary, I have absolutely no idea, but what I do know is you're probably better off selecting get stuck in.